Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. So, in this video, I'm going to make an explanation about demand pull inflation and cost pull inflation. But before that, I'm going to give introduction of myself. So, my name is Annisa Auliya and my student ID is B1B1258084. So we move to the next slide. So what is demand pull inflation? So the concept here often described as too much money chasing too few goods. So the demand pull inflation occurs when the aggregate demand or AD for goods and services in an economy exceeds the aggregate supply or AS. So when consumers, businesses, and the governments want to buy more than the economy can currently produce, businesses respond by raising prices. Next is what is the cause of this demand pull inflation? These are the few causes of that. So the first one is growing economy. The second one is increased government spending. And the third one, and also the last one, is a surge in exports. So there is still many causes of this demand pull inflation. Next, these are the two graphs of demand pull inflation. So first one is classical and the second one is Keynesian. So what is the difference? So for the classical is the only rise or high is the prices. Meanwhile, for the Keynesian is the output is rise first and then the prices is follow or the prices then rise too. So the output is the total amount of goods and services produced in economy. Next, these are the example and impacts of demand pull inflation. So, the example during the post COVID recovery, many people had stimulus money and pent up demand to travel. However, airlines and hotels couldn't ramp up service fast enough, leading to a massive spike in ticket and room prices. So, here is that the prices is rise because the hotels couldn't ramp up service fast enough. Yep. Next, for the impact, first one is the economic growth. Initially, growing it can signal a healthy growing economy with low unemployment. And the second one is purchasing power, sorry. So if wages don't keep up with the price hikes, consumers' real incomes drop. Real income drops. Okay, that is the impact, and that's it for the demand pull inflation. Now I'm gonna move on to the cost pull inflation. So what is cost pull inflation? So the concept here says this type of inflation is driven by the supply side. It occurs when the cost of production, like raw materials, wages, increase. To maintain their profit margins, businesses push this cost onto customers by raising the prices of final goods. So these are the this is the graph of cost pull inflation. So I'm gonna explain a little about the graph. So when costs go up, firms have to spend more to produce goods and services. Because production become more expensive, firms choose to produce less. So the supply goes down. When there are fewer goods available but the demand still the same or stay the same, firms raise the prices. So since firms are producing less, so the total output of the economy goes down. And the key idea says here too, the cost is rise equal, which means the supply goes down and then the prices go up, so the output goes down. Next is the example. So if global price of crude oil doubles, it become more expensive for a bakery to transport flour and run its its ovens. And so the bakery then raises the price of a loaf of bread to cover those higher energy and transport bills. Next is what is the impact? So there is two impact here. The first one is stagflation. So this is the worst case scenario where prices rise while the economy slows down or the output is decreases, potentially leading to higher unemployment. And the second one is reduced margins. So businesses that cannot pass on the full cost to consumers may face lower profits or bankruptcy. Okay, that's it for the demand pull inflation and cost pull inflation. Now, I'm going to make an explanation or yeah, explanation of the example of calculating the multiplier effect of consumption, investment, and taxes. But first one, get to before we go to the problem, we must know first the formula. So these two are the multiplier formula. So first one is spending multiplier, or you can say key. So this one is used for investment, R RI, government spending G, and autonomous consumption C. So here is the multiplier. Key equals 1 over 1 minus MPC. So what is MPC? MPC is marginal propensity to consume. And the second multiplier formula is tax multiplier, or T sub T. This one is used for changes in taxes T. It is always negative because higher taxes reduce spending. So here is the formula. K sub T equals minus MPC over 1 minus MPC. Okay, now we start, or I'm going to explain the scenario A first, which is the investment multiplier. So the problem here, the economy of country X has a marginal propensity to consume MPC of zero point 0.8. The government observes that a group of tech companies has decided to increase their investment by 50 billion dollar to build new data centers. Calculate the total increase in national income, or Y. So we already know here that the MPC equals zero point 0.8. So So we already identified MPC, so the MPC equals zero point 0.8. Next, we calculate the multiplier, or the spending multiplier. So key equals 1 over 1 minus zero point 0.8, which equals 1 over zero point 0.2 equals 5. And then there's a formula here that we're gonna use. So delta y equal k times delta I, or the investment. So delta y equals 5 times 50 billion dollars equals 20 $250 billion. So the result is the initial of $50 billion investment results in a total increase of 250 billion dollar in national income. Next is I'm gonna explain for the scenario B, which is tax multiplier. So the problem here is the government of country Y wants to stimulate the economy. So they decide to reduce taxes by $20 billion. If the MPC is 0.75, what will be the total impact on the national income? So yeah, we identify again the MPC, and we already know here again that the MPC equals 0.75. Next, we calculate the tax multiplier. So K sub t equals minus 0.75 over 1 minus 0.75, which equals minus 0.75 over 0.25, which equals minus 3. And then there is new formula again that we're gonna use here. Delta y equals k sub t times delta t, or the tax. So delta y equals minus 3 times minus $20 billion, which equals positive or plus $60. So the results is reducing taxes by $20 billion increases the national income by $60 billion. Next, for the last one is consumption multiplier. This is the scenario C. So the problem here says due to increased consumer confidence, autonomous consumption, or C, increases by $10 billion. If the marginal propensity to save, or the MPS, is zero point 0.1, what is the final change in national income? So the problem here, we don't know the MPC, but as we know, to find the MPC is MPC plus MPS equals 1. Then the MPC equals 1 minus zero point 0.1, which equals 0.9. Okay, so next we calculate the multiplier here. So key equals 1 over 1 minus 0.9 equals 1 over 0.1 equals 10. So the delta Y equals 10 times $10 billion equals $100 billion. And then so the result is the $10 billion rise in consumption leads to a $100 billion increase in national income. So that's that's so that's my explanation about the example of multiplier, consumption, tax and investment. So in summary, demand pull and cost push inflation represent two different force driving up prices in economy. So demand pull inflation occurs when the economy is booming and consumer demand exceeds the available supply. It is often described as too much money chasing too few goods. While prices rise, this type of inflation is usually associated with a growing economy and low unemployment as businesses hire more people to keep up with the high demand. On the other hand, cost push inflation is driven by rising production costs, such as spikes in energy prices or raw material costs. Yeah. In this case, prices go up even if consumer demand hasn't changed because businesses must pass their higher expenses on customers. This is generally more harmful to the economy because it can lead to stagflation, where prices rise while economic growth slows down and unemployment increases. Then, ultimately, the key difference is that demand pull is byproduct of a strong economy, whereas cost push is a supply side shock that often signals economy distress. I think that's it from me for the explanation. I hope all of you can understand it well. Thank you so much. So I'll end it here. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.